motherfucker. And we back. We had the technicians with the snap-on tools. They were out here. Gary, I'm so impressed that you managed to get the sound department here. I trust you'll have a debrief after this, and a few asses will be kicked.
Okay.
Talking about K.
Listen. If you carry on with his language, we've got a youngster who's trying to raise some money to get to F1.
Stu
I'm going to start a jingle story, but we start with at 1,000 rand, 1,000 per swear word.
I didn't swear yet. I said K. K is Spanish for what?
I'm just warning you. Now, while we're on that.
What Gary is talking about is Stuart White has got a GoFundMe page to help his racing overseas. He's chosen the most difficult, the most expensive route. Gary? And if you could... Are we back? Hodges, you've brought... That's what she said. You've brought Boxberg.
Get into trouble for that one.
But have you ever shied away from being in trouble?
Yeah, not really. But slowly I got to learn just to tame it a bit.
You've raced a whole lot of stuff, which we're going to get to, because now our sound department and technical department has said that we're good to go. So in case you missed it, Greg Charman, super frickin' happy birthday, and welcome back to episode 92 of Waved Yellow. DTM, Sheldon he passed. The guy's a superstar. BMW, his bank account is impressive. ADAC, GD Masters, Kelvin, and Mr. Niederhauser, Patrick, leading a championship. I tell you what, when Kelvin gets into a proper car, look, he's undoubtedly
does some proper stuff.
Awesomely mega frickin' quick. So leading a championship, he's won it before, and Kelvin, we're holding thumbs for you. May you get there, may you win it, may you do some stuff. So some of the other stuff that's happened, Gary, let's just go through that before we get to Mathew Hodges, international superstar, destroyer of spas, entertainment areas, and we are going to get to him. So McLaren decide they're going with Schmidt. I have to get the words right. Schmidt Peterson Racing. Finally, because Mr. Alonso, who we'll get to again, there are threads that go through the things. Alonso trashed Honda. Schmidt Peterson run Honda engines, but McLaren loaded a few dollars on the table, and they've now changed.
Serious big dollars.
And they're going to run officially with Chevy, which unfortunately leaves the mayor of Hinchtown, James Hinchcliffe, up the paddle without a creek, because he's deeply sponsored. He's a Canadian, and Honda Canada pay him. And Gary, I've got to talk to you about Canada, because I'm developing a super soft spot for Canada.
I believe so.
For reasons that will become apparent in November. James Hinchcliffe, sponsored by Honda, and his whole racing career has been Honda. Now he's got to ditch them and go with Chevy if he stays with Schmidt Peterson. Only time will tell, because Alonso has parked turds in many, many places. We hope that he won't park a turd in Southwest Africa or Namibia, where we are led to believe, our sources tell us, that Mr. Alonso and Mark Comer will be deeply testing and learning dunes in a week. Next week, apparently, we are told that it is dune testing for the Toyota Gazoo Racing SA team with Fernando Alonso and Mark Comer. Try and get... what better guy can you have than Mark Comer, who has won Dakar a bucket load of times on a motorbike, and then B, who was route director of Dakar, ditched route director 2 years ago, and is now going to teach Freddie to go and drive up and down the dunes.
Freddie,
Fernando Alonso. The other thing that McLaren have done is they've installed Gilles de Ferran as their main man in the IndyCar thing. And Gary, he was in charge of their attack on Indianapolis 500 last year. And as far as I know, the pooch they didn't make it. The question with all of this, and just talking about McLaren, and on the one side they've caused a whole lot there's an uproar in America and IndyCar. And the other thing they've done is they finally got their Formula One team sorted. But they got a Renault engine in Formula One, and they're drilling the Renault factory team. Where does this leave Renault, and when do Renault start feeding them cuck engines and cuck software so that the McLaren keeps blowing up, so that Renault Cyril Abiteboul can save his butt and the gazillions of the socialist government of France who have put all their pride and their francs.
Are you suddenly becoming political?
No, I'm just saying, it's a government, the French government is supporting Renoir. And what are they doing? And the Le Rosbif on the...
Le Rosbif.
The Le Rosbif in the McLarens are drilling them. Politics. You have to frickin' love it. Gary, the other little bit of news that end of this year, 24 November in Fuji, DTM and Super Series from Japan, konnichiwa, will have their super race, where effectively from next year they're going to start running under the same rules.
Yeah.
Because they run the same tubs and all the rest of it. I think it's absolutely magnificent. The last DTM race, they're going to bring in a couple of the Super Series cars, and they're going to run them there. So that, I'll tell you what, that's about, Gary, what has happened. That is it. But there's exciting stuff going forward. But we'll talk about going forward. We are now contracted. One of our first, in fact, it's not one of our first, one of the few commercial contracts that Waved Yellow has is with the Emerald Speed Festival, to promote Emerald Speed Festival, which I think is probably one of the coolerest events. And my phone, Gary, what's going on with my phone?
It's working.
Oh, of course it works. Emerald Speed Fest is at the end of a couple of months' time, and I've just got to get my notes right. 27, 28, 29 September. It is a time attack. You may ask, Gary, what is the difference between a time attack and a hill climb?
Tom.
The hill.
The hill. Okay.
The one's got a hill, the one hasn't got a hill. To think back to the work of the fantastic event at Jaguar Samoa Hill Climb earlier this year, and there was a 1.9 kilometer course. So let's just build this whole story about Emerald Speed Fest. And yes, they are sponsoring us, they've contracted us to do it, but we love motor racing, we love all good things that build in sport. And particularly when a guy has a dream and he ends up doing a little bit of work, getting off his ass and putting in the hard work, and his dream starts to come to reality. So Pim Pieterse, well done to you for having the dream of vereniging. Gun.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of other guys involved as well. You know.
But who would have thought? No, Gary, there's where the dream starts. We're going to go further on that. So who would have thought in vereniging, where the boys are rough, the boys are wild, even more so than Boksburg Publicity Association. Do you ever go to vereniging?
Yeah, often.
It's a cool place, eh?
It's not bad.
So one of the things was bring racing to the Vaal and try and look after the one thing that many things that motor racing does is build economic activity in the city. So Pim has this dream, and then he gets hold of Terry Wolford and Larry Wolford. And Larry's got the longest, deepest pockets and the shortest arms. But he's a lekker oak. Larry, we love you. Terry he can talk more than me. Gary, I never thought that anybody in the entire world could talk more than me. But Terry's good at it. And they put together this whole thing. They go to, well, what are you going to do? You need a sponsor for it. So they go to Emerald Casino. Sit down, have a chit-chat with the oaks who own Emerald Casino. They think, oh my God, this is lovely. Lots of horsepower, silicon, and that's also in the cars. Unobtainium and Speed Spectacular of note, Monaco of the Vaal. Who would have thought that Monaco could be at the Vaal? And Emerald Casino is in. They go and retar this stretch of road, 2.5 kilometers, but the racetrack is it's a mile. So you've got the master of the mile. That just rolls off the tongue. Can just say the master of the mile, Gary?
The master of the mile.
Mathew?
The master of the mile.
I like that. Just a bit more enthusiasm.
The master of the mile.
Yeah, there you go, the mile. And if you do it really well, you could get really mile high. So, and they've got the buy-in of Emerald Casino. Now you've got to organize an event. So they go and they see, well, who do you go to? You go to one of the largest events company in the world. You go to Messi Frankfurt and their South African thing. And voila, you now have Emerald Speed Festival. A jaw, 1.6 kilometer track, 1 mile. For those of you, mass is important, kids. And the numbers 8 and 5 are important if you want to convert between kilometers and miles and all the rest of it. 8 and 5, you work it out. Miles are always lesser and kilometers are more.
Or Mora.
Mora.
Mora is tomorrow.
No, that's tomorrow. Morara.
Yeah,
No, there's too many R's in there.
Oh, okay.
And it's like Morara.
I hope you know what he's doing.
Gary, I don't even know what I'm... Because there's butter...
What have I got myself into?
Say that again?
I said, what have I got myself into?
Well, you asked the question, why? I always say, why?
Why?
So, you now have... who's going to run there? The fastest car, apparently, in the world.
The Kraken.
The Kraken. It is not anything else. That car, that black thing that Franco Scribanti has is the Kraken.
Yes.
We christened it. It shall be forever known as the Kraken. The Kraken is a mythical beast that comes out of the Scandinavian seas. It is huge, it is ginormous, it is super fast, it is magical, and thus the Kraken will come out of Kyalami, go down to the Emerald Speed Festival and have a full-on go.
Just
and then,
before...
Gary,
okay, sorry, I thought you were finished.
No, Gary, you can stop me at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. I can carry on.
We know.
You got the Flying Dutchman, Richard Roots. He's not going to bring his puppies because, well, maybe Dagmar will come, but the dogs will stay at home, and Richard will bring his GTR.
You're running a fine line tonight, young man.
Gary, you know what? If you don't push the boundaries, you'll never know where the limit is, and you'll never reach greatness. We go from good to great. Oh, by the way, if you've got any questions, queries, comments, or whatever, just write out a thing, and our social media expert will alert Gary, who will talk to us. We with episode 92 of Waved Yellow, Mathew Hodges, international jet setter, damn fine driver and party note. Gary, you've got a question.
Yes, Jackie Morrison says, how's it, Maddie?
Hello, Jackie.
Time to get back in the wheel again. Or behind the wheel again, sorry.
Yeah, I agree, Jackie.
That's part of why we're here, Jackie.
And
So
Simon Morris asks, is it possible to show us the cars that Mathew drives? Do you have sufficient time to watch? And unfortunately, Simon, we don't have enough time to show the cars that Mathew drives. But
Simon,
I think
your friend.
let Colin get into this interview with Simon.
No. We're going there, Gary.
Okay.
We're going there. We're just talking about this Emerald thingy, the Speed Festival, the dream that became reality. So Franco Scribanti is going to be there in the Kraken. Richard Roots is going to be there, and then another Flying Dutchman. There's so many of them. Henny Groenewald, proper oak. He's going to be driving a Lola T70 replica up the hill, and then our man from East London in the Aston Martin, Michael Stephen, is going to bring the Scribanti Audi. That thing is wicked AF. It's got power for days. It's got four-wheel drive. It's got wings of note. It pops and bangs, and it harkens back to the Quattro rally cars. So that's the Emerald Speed Fest, just 27 to 29 September.
While you're on there, I see Henny Groenewald has just joined us, and I'm going to put
Henny G.
Yeah, Henny G. Henny, you living down in that area?
Where there's half a mountain.
Oh, is he? He's
No,
down
he's
there.
in half mountain, Moaning country.
Mining country. Maybe he can bring one of those crazy cars from down there to the Emerald Speed Festival.
No, he's driving Pim Peters's
Lola.
T70 replica with lots of V8 and muscle and all the rest. So I tell you what, it's going to be really cool. Henny is a lekker oak, and he's just a racer. He just wants to gooi millies. He's a proper guy. So if you're looking for tickets, go and have a look on. Google's your friend. Emerald Speed Fest is on Facebook and all of that sort of stuff. Tickets are available at CompuTicket. It's going to be, in the words of the Italians, Gary, it's going to be Musa. It's in the Val, and summer will be there. We'll be there. Check it out, brother. Love Time Attack. And thus we move to the man of Spa. Spa they sent us a message. They said, thank you that Mathew has gone home. What were you there for?
Spectator, really. My brother-in-law and I decided we're going to go watch Spa 24 hour as a spectator, like a weekend away, literally the weekend away.
So you went to watch Gennaro Bonafide, Kelvin van der Linde, Jordan Pepper, David Perrell. Hold on, there's 4 South Africans in a field of absolute top-class drivers, never mind just GT3 drivers. You're a spectator, you spent a lot of time in the pits as well and catching up with the guys?
Yeah, 100%. We spent, we were lucky enough, Jordan hooked us up with hospitality. So we were in the Bentley hospitality while we were there, which was awesome. There's nothing worse than 12 o'clock at night and you got nowhere to go and you got to sit on a grandstand. So, yeah, thanks Jordy P. He sorted us out there quite lekker. But what an awesome event, that just showcased what GT racing is about and what motor racing is. And I don't think a lot of guys here realize how big and what a huge stage that GT3 racing is actually on. And our boys are doing a damn good job representing South Africa on that stage.
We've got 4 of them. You've got Bentley, Ferrari, Audi, and what's the one that I'm missing? BMW.
Yeah.
And all our guys. You were telling me you got some goosebumps. Tell us that story during qualifying, the goosebump story.
Yeah, so basically we watched quali from the outside of Eau Rouge on the top, so as they come into Radion,
yeah.
And the speed that they come down is outrageous. So
And the climb. Just explain to people who haven't been there how mega that climb is.
no, you can't. You can't explain it, and you can't. A photo doesn't do it justice. That gradient is huge. Percentage-wise, it's got to be at least 35-40% of a gradient, maybe more. I could be wrong, but to see it, you're like, is that a roller coaster or a racetrack? That's the feeling you get. And to watch the Oaks go through there they enter Eau Rouge at 230, 240, I think, or somewhere around there. Some of them it's flat, some of them it's a lift. And when they exit, it's 260 or whatever that they're doing there. It's just crazy.
And Kelvin I'm looking through my brain for some polite words.
Brain?
And Kelvin drives for many teams. He's contracted by BMW, by Audi. Whoa, Sheldon's a BMW one. And the Attempto, it's quite an interesting name, that Attempt.
Yeah.
But it's a Tempo. Anyway, they've contracted him and specifically wanted him there. But Gary, what kind of animal is an Alsatian?
A dog.
And a bull, and I don't know, a Dachshund?
A small dog.
Well, some would say, and a Great Dane?
A big dog.
Some would say that was what Sheldon's car was like. Our sources tell us, but Kelvin. And it needed a lot of work, and then he wrung its neck to finish second overall in his qualifying session. What was that like to watch?
Yeah, it was awesome. So just to go back a little bit, so when the quali session started for the pro drivers, which was Q2, it was Geordie's turn in the Bentley.
And he had a full fuel load.
Full tank of fuel, new tyres, and he was the first one to set a lap time. And it was only a 15-minute session, and as he went on, he got a little bit faster. But you get traffic, and there's 73 cars or 72 cars on the grid on a 7-point-whatever kilometer track. It's a car every 100 meters. So to get a clean lap, it's almost impossible. And right near the end, probably 6 minutes before the end, Geordie put it second.
But there was a red flag.
Yes, 4 seconds before that. Red flag was nowhere, the incident was nowhere where Geordie was, but when he came to the line, there was a red flag there, so the lap got taken away. But he had qualified second, which was also massively impressive. And then, obviously we were gutted for him, and they struggled to make it to the top 20. And then you got on to...
I think they got to 21st, eh?
Yeah, it was so painful to watch.
0.003 or something like so much.
Yeah, it was disheartening. So I got a BA instead. And then anyway, so going on to then it was Q3, and then Q4 is the final qualifying session for the pro drivers. Low fuel, brand new set of tackies, and
The fastest cars ever going to be that weekend.
Yes, 100%. And Kelvin went out there and put it second on the grid overall. But obviously because they work out the average of the three, and they ended up 32nd. But he was 2.5 seconds quicker than his one teammate, and 1.5 seconds quicker than the other teammate.
Just to explain a little bit of how the qualifying works for the race, they take the average time. So if there's 3 drivers in the car, they add up the 3 times, divide by 3, and that's where you start. So even though Kelvin qualified the car second, they started lowest. I think Norman Nowhere was next to them.
Somewhere like a 35th or 36th, somewhere, I'm not exactly sure. But what was also impressive was on race day, where Kelvin went from 30 somewhere to 6th in his stint.
And to pass on that track with that amount of traffic.
Not just that, in the wet, at Spa, with literally, 250 of the world's best drivers. And his double stint was just something that was incredible. It was something great to see.
We don't blow smoke up people's bums much. But Kelvin van der Linde is, and Sheldon, and Jordan Pepper, they frickin' superstars, aren't they?
Undoubtedly. Look, personally, my opinion, from what I saw that weekend, and like I told you earlier, I think those 3 drivers, Sheldon, Jordan and Kelvin, are probably within the top 20 fastest drivers in the world. And it showed at Spa. Jordan, yes, his car was sometimes not great. Setup wasn't good. They had tire pressure issues. But he was still fast. Undoubtedly very quick. And they've got to be in that top 20, possibly more, but I don't want to push that boundary too much. And it's just awesome to see. And don't forget David Perel. He wasn't slow either.
Yeah.
Old Perel.
In the Ferrari.
Yeah.
A lime green Ferrari.
In that green Mamba. Perel was very quick. In the test and leading up to the event, he was inside the top 10 every time he drove the car, which is incredible.
And let's not forget, debutant in international GT3 racing, the fastest DJ in the world, Giraffe, Gennaro Bonafide. So he goes there and scrabbles a drive together in a BM and an M6, and we turn the streaming on, and oh my God, we see this car parked in the side of the road. Now, you spent some time with Gennaro, you mates with him. His heart must have just fallen when I think his teammate was Mr. Anker. William Anker was his teammate who ditched it.
Yeah, I think his name was Eric. Eric was the guy that binned it. But yeah, I don't know if G's heart sank the most or Vito's. I'm not sure which one. But yeah, look, it was sad to see. In qualifying when that guy put it in the wall, for G we felt the guy was on his outlap. There was no reason for him to bin it to start off with.
And there's Gennaro's whole dream almost come to an end. But I think the mental toughness that he exhibited through the weekend to come through that disaster, then Wanker ditching it again, and then to run in the rain at the pace of the leaders, it's a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, look, I think the disappointment in quali for G was that he was going to be last in the car, so in Q4. So on its lowest fuel level, freshest tyres, he wanted to really give it the beans and see exactly where his pace is compared to the other drivers, which is pretty much why he went there. And I think that's why he was upset about the quali incident. But, I mean, quali in a 24-hour race doesn't mean jack shit, to be honest.
Yeah, but it does. It's a ranking thing. And how badly did you want to have your overalls and helmet there and look at some of the guys who couldn't drive a grease stick up a dog's ass and give them a go?
Slowly, sir.
I didn't swear.
Yeah, look,
Just say slowly. That's all.
obviously,
Thanks, Gary.
obviously, when to be there at the weekend was pressure free. It was lekker, but to see all those cars and just to think this could be lekker. And I was a little bit upset. Not upset, but like you had that feeling of shit, I should actually be involved. I want to drive.
Because you've driven in endurance races overseas, you've driven in Nürburgring, Spa, all over, Zandvoort, and you're not driving at the moment. And that's not right, is it?
No, look, obviously we want to drive. I mean, like I said, this is now, I've been racing since I was 9. So for 23 years, I've driven something. Every year I've raced something, competed very competitively in whatever I've raced.
You've won championships.
Yeah, a few of them. But this year's the first year that I'm not racing anything. And it hurts. It hurts a little bit. But at the same time, maybe, I don't know, it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's take the time back to just reevaluate things. Look, the racing will always be there. And I can always go back.
It's in your blood. I mean, you can't get out of it. I mean, there's that petrol in your blood. It's there.
Yeah, it's there. It'll always be there. And yes, right now I'm not racing something. But like I said, motorsport will always be there. And I will be in something, whether it's in 6 months, a year, can't really tell you, but I'll be in something.
Talking about being in things, Gary, I see the Contraceptive Society is running some ads in the background there, just showing what happens if you don't use contraception with the brats.
Is this your little moment of...
No, I'm chilled, Gary. I'm just saying, putting it out there. Use it, lose it. To go racing is not easy, and you've made sacrifices. You've seen sacrifices other guys made. How big are the sacrifices that some people make to go racing?
Huge. And if you look at the ones that are successful now, they've made massive sacrifices.
David Perrell sells his business, packs up, goes to live in London to go and race his dream. And then?
No, and then he was doing quite comfortably in the AM Cup. He had some rich other AM drivers who were paying for most of the stuff. David was doing some coaching, and he had a seat, and they won the AM Spa 24-hour last year. He's won quite a few things, and he's been fast and done well. Next minute, he upgrades his license to a silver license, and then
they don't want silvers.
They tell him, sorry, you don't have a drive anymore. We don't need you. And he's thinking, well, what do I do now? So, and I chatted to Dave while I was in Spa. Me and him go way back. We've been friends since the karting days, and we've got a good relationship. And he said to me, Matt, I was sitting in Germany. I asked him, how did you get involved with Ronaldo? He says, look, I was in Germany with his girlfriend that he had just met or recently met. And he had decided, that's it, he's coming back to South Africa. He can't do this anymore. There's no drive, it's too hard. That's it. He asked his German girlfriend if she wants to live in SA. And the next minute, Dave's on the internet. He comes across a blog about Rinaldi, the racing team, the Ferrari team, that they post about some test. So he comes across this and he thinks, well, what the hell are the chances of me coming across this? So he gets in his car, drives to their offices in Germany, where he was in Germany at the time. Drives to the offices, sits on the couch, and he says, "Well, I'm here. I want to find out about this test." And the rest is history.
So it's not a case of, people phoning you. You've got to actually basically give up everything, sacrifice. Depends how hungry you are. If you're hungry, you'll make it. If you're not hungry, well, sorry for you.
Yeah, he literally, that was his last resort, put his ego between his legs and got in the car and just arrived and was in their faces. And maybe that showed commitment, maybe that was the team wanted. They wanted someone they had the balls to do something like that instead of just the email.
But you've also had a whole lot of things that you've done. You've packed up, you've gone and raced overseas. And what is the funnest race? On the one hand, the funnest and the most difficult race you've had overseas?
That's easy. The Nürburgring 24-hour. That is the devil itself.
How many corners? 189?
It's 170 odd. Can't really remember now, but it was 2012. But that, when I did it, it was in a 1 series, which was in the alternatives fuels class.
Diesel,
but don't let that.
It's got torque, eh?
700 Newton meters of torque, and it was 450 horsepower. So that thing was quite a beast. My stint, it was I think 11 o'clock at night. They send me out. I do the GP circuit and I get onto the Nordschleife and I'm 2 Ks in. I'm on slicks and it starts raining and it's pitch black. And you've got 20 odd Ks to get back to the pits without bending the car. And then you've got GT3 cars that some have got wets on, some have got slicks on, and they come past you like it's,
That must have been nerve-wracking, eh?
Yeah, it wasn't a nice feeling. The whole way back I was just thinking, why the hell am I here? It's just, the surface alone on the Nürburgring is about 13 different tar surfaces. There's concrete, there's different grades of tar. So, there's trees that overhang, so that surface is ridiculously slippery. It was just a nightmare. Getting back to the pits, I'd never been so excited to get back to the pits and put wets on in my entire life. It was, and that's all it's about, It's no point being a hero, especially the class we were in. You just got to get the car back, get the right tyres on, get back out there and just do more laps.
And I think the important thing is you didn't bin it.
Yeah, because I would have had 3 other angry Englishmen, and you don't want an angry Englishman once you've binned his race car.
If you've just joined us, it's episode 92 of Waved Yellow. We're talking with Mathew Hodges, international jet setter, spectator of note, destroyer of Spa-Francorchamps, a damn fine guy and a bloody fast race driver. Mathew, what's the if you've got any questions, comments or queries, stick them on the thingy, and the drill, and if you don't, Google is your friend. What's the funnest car that you've driven? The one that gives you when you get out of it, you've got the biggest smile.
Look, that's hard to say. I drove a 1 series, the same team that I did the 24-hour with at Nürburgring. They built another car which was a 1 series, but with a V10 petrol engine in.
That must have sounded awesome, eh?
It was incredible. 650 horsepower. It was an absolute beast. It was in a straight line, just as fast as a GT3 car, but obviously smaller brakes, less downforce, so through the slower stuff, it was a little bit slower. So I think we were probably, at Zandvoort, we were about 3 seconds slower than a GT3 car, which isn't really bad. It's pretty fast, pretty rapid.
And the biggest dog?
I had a race car that I once raced last year for a few races. That was pretty bad.
Before we go, somebody's asking online, Simon Morris, what speeds does Mathew drive around curves or corners? I'm not worried about the straights.
Well, depends on how tight the corners are.
Yeah, how tight is the corner?
Well, Simon, that's the answer you're going to get from these two guys.
No, that's a difficult one to answer, obviously.
As fast as a car will go.
100% without binning it.
There you go. So it depends on, you can have, I don't know, potters in a Lamborghini, you might do 265 k's an hour through there.
Quick one. Simon Moss asks, I didn't know you watched this, but Simon Moss asks, ask Matt which he preferred, BMW or VW?
Simon, I'm going to send you a wooden spoon during the week because now you're stirring the pot, my man.
I believe he also wanted to ask you about the Wimpy. But we shouldn't go there.
We're not going to go nowhere near the Wimpy and haven't been for a while.
Thank you, Stuart. Talking about GDC cars, how difficult is it to string? We were talking just, Simon, I'm glad you're with us. How difficult is it to wring their necks to get them really quick?
Yeah, well, obviously Simon doesn't have that issue. He just gets in the thing, lap one, and he's on it. But yeah, look.
But Simon's a special case.
Yeah, there's only one Simon. only one Simon. But we like him. He can stay. No, look.
His dad can come as well because he's also around.
Yeah, he's not bad when he's far away. But no, he's cool. I've got nothing against Terry. But going back to the car, look, obviously that everyone's got their different driving style. You know, Simon's known as the wild one, straight out the box, will flat taps. Then you get more conservative drivers, and I think I took the more conservative approach to the GDC, especially in the first few laps, because obviously, I mean, you got a works drive. You don't want to now go on lap 2, try to be a hero, and you bin the car. Whereas I think Simon was a little bit different.
Well, if you can always just go home and say, "Hey, Dad, sorry."
Oh, hey, Dad, it'll buff out.
Lots of.
I'm sure Genora's teammate thought the same thing, huh?
Duct tape and tie wraps. That saga of GDC, I think, shall we call it character building for you?
Yeah, look, I'm grateful for the opportunity I had with VW. Don't get me wrong, I raced with them for 3-4 years, and I was grateful for that. Obviously, last year didn't go quite according to plan, and we all saw pretty much what had happened. And yes, it wasn't nice for me.
You've got a big fan of yours who sometimes drives GDC as well, but should we not go there either?
Yeah, no, we won't go there. But look, I mean, take last year aside with all the mechanical failures. I mean, any driver is going to get upset if you have a mechanical failure. It's not your fault you're not finishing. It's not your fault you're not getting results. Just the equipment's breaking. I mean,
and how rewarding are those cars? Like on the complex at East London, where it's nice and quick and the thing's changing direction, and you on the edge. And Chevy at PE, they've got to be really cool.
Yeah, that East London was cool, but the ultimate is Kyalami in that car. Was an absolute dream to drive.
Smooth surface.
There we go. East London's very bumpy. Yeah. It was aggressive on the car. You got it wrong many times. But Kyalami in that car, if you got a good lap right, you were fast, and you knew you were fast, and you could lose a lot or you could gain a lot.
Many people talk about Kyalami, the latest iteration of it, as some say it's a cuck circuit, and anybody to me who says that is a bit of they don't know what they're talking about. It is incredibly technical to string a real quick lap through New Kyalami.
When we first drove it in, 2 years ago, or 3, in the GDC cars, that surface was so smooth, it actually felt like you were in a PlayStation game. It didn't feel real.
And you can lean on the tyre then and get really nice feedback without too much interference from the dampers.
That circuit is world class, and I think those GT3 cars that are coming in November are going to be blown away by that circuit. A lot of those drivers haven't driven that circuit, haven't even seen it.
How excited are you for that race?
Yeah, I'm excited, but would obviously love to be behind a wheel of one of the cars.
No doubt you spoke to a few people in Spa exploring possibilities.
Yeah, look, you need euros, unfortunately, and that's just the way it is. It's part of the game. For them, it's a business, and people forget that here. People chase their dreams, forgetting that the people running those dreams are business people.
I think that's important, where to understand the commercial side of motorsport. It is people don't owe you a living because you might be a quick and good driver, and it is a business.
It's 100% a business, and besides the factory teams, which obviously our South African boys have got into, all the other teams, or most of the other teams, which the SRO have told the pro drivers to respect, because they need them to, not just to make the numbers, but there'll always be so many pro teams. To grow the class, you need AM drivers, paying drivers, gentleman drivers. And
SRO's attitude is to the pros is you screw with the big part of the business, and
that's it. I mean, at Spa, the guy said if you mess with an AM driver, push him out the way or do something aggressive or we don't like, you're getting a drive-through penalty. That's it. So
I love that.
Awesome.
I love that almost dictatorial way of democracy doesn't work in racing. You've got to have a strong leader who says, this is the way we're going to do it. If you don't like it, pack your toys and duck.
Yeah, well, as a driver, there's nothing worse than coming up to a back marker thinking, why the hell are you even racing? I'm faster than you. And that's what all the racing drivers do. I mean, all the fast oaks think that, but you can't. They're also there for a purpose, for a reason, racing in their own class. Although it's not pro, it's their
and putting on a huge show.
Yeah, they're adding to the spectacle. Without them, it wouldn't be as big.
Gary.
Sean Hardeman ask you to please tell us about the party zone at Spa.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, look.
Did it survive?
The festival did survive eventually.
Just.
The next morning it woke up and realized the Saffers have left. Look, I mean, we watched the start of the race up until about 10 o'clock at night. So 6 hours of racing. I mean, you get a little bit tired. Cars going around. So you go to the hospitality and you have a chow. And then you walk across the bridge to the middle of the circuit. And they've got a festival with thousands of people, big screens, DJs. And right next to that, they've got another screen showing the racing.
Now, that's coming to Kyalami for the 9 hour as well, I'm told.
I hope so, because then...
Because you met some prominent people there, or you saw some people that are helping run Kyalami running around Spa.
Yeah, they were running around having a look. Wayne Riddell and his guys, yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that just added something extra to the event, because, let's be honest, you're not just going to sit near the circuit watching 24 hours of racing. You want to
it's an entertainment spectacle. It's not just a race. It's 2 days effectively of freaking great entertainment.
Racing and having a bit of a party. That's what it was about. I mean, you stand where the festival is happening, DJs playing awesome music. You look to your right and there's Eau Rouge. And it's just incredible. It's actually just surreal.
Can't wait for Kyalami. Gary, is our production team getting a little bit antsy now that they've got stuff sorted? Oh, couple of things.
Yes.
Tony Martin.
Yes.
Daytona 24-hour winner. Has just, we had a bit of a discussion earlier today, and he's put together this thing where they've got a class for the backdraft cars for next year.
Backdraft roadsters, as they know.
Backdraft.
Yeah.
No. Those are the GT4, the one with the roof. The one without the roof. So basically you get he's going to put together 10 of these cars.
Yes.
And going to go and run them.
Is he going to do something similar to what Matt Nash has done with the Nash Special?
It's kind of the same idea. He's putting in a huge investment for people who want to come and race and they need a car. Instead of building your own car, get hold of Tony Martin. I think it's absolutely magnificent. We will talk about it in more detail.
It'll be interesting to do a show about it a bit later on in the year and actually go into some serious detail before the next year, or maybe even from the last endurance race.
I'm led to believe that they'll have the final spec of the car running at Pakisa for the 2 times 3 hour races, 2 individual races. So that's absolutely magnificent. So if you're looking for a car, look up Tony Martin. He's on Facebook and all the rest of it. And he lives under the handle Silver Fox. Gary? There's Tony Martin. You've got the Emerald Casino. Why have I got Chev and Penske here? Oh,
Because you discussed it.
did we talk about Mark Comer and Fernando Alonso?
Yes,
we did that.
Yeah, and then
And
that
Hoksteen Pan. Can you like to believe?
can I like to believe
Hoksteen Pan in the Karoo.
where they're going to come and test some
It's
rockets.
flatter than a.
Oh, sorry, jet engines.
It's just so plat soos 'n plastic pop. And I've got to stop there. It's
Yes.
flat.
It's
It's
very flat.
like,
Yes.
not like Barbie.
No, and it's got no stones in it.
And there's-
Pebbles have been
well,
removed.
they've got all the pebbles are removed, and Bloodhound has roared back into life. I am told by our OB production planning executive
Department.
producer department that we are going to Hoksteen Pan to check out this thing, whether they
Okay.
like us there or not. China, pommies, brace yourself. Waved Yellow is coming in hot, and that, Gary,
And
is what I've got.
We're the South African boys of this weekend. We got.
Yes,
No,
because
no,
Mommy
no,
Van der
Suzuka's-
Linde went to Suzuki. Where is it?
Suzuka 10 hour.
I love that. You've got a 10-hour, a 4-hour, a 6-hour, a 12-hour, and a 9-hour.
Yeah, no
Okay.
10 lap races.
Okay, first of all, first weekend, this coming weekend, Calvin is in the Blancpain endurance thing, which is the weekend of the 16th of August.
I love how your production
at-
notes just came up on the screen there.
Nürburgring. The 23rd of August, they will be in Suzuka.
But why is Bernally going there now? Bernalise.
Because there's
Mrs.
a DTM race
Mommy.
coming up.
But TTM is not in Japan. That is the Super Series.
I
The
don't
Hitler wagons are not driving there, Gary. You must pay attention. Gary,
Yes.
we haven't done this for a long time, but you got to frickin' focus because your mind's like, I've got butterflies. I know this. But Gary's like, yeah, you like very... Gary, boys and girls, ladies and
It's
gentlemen,
that time of day.
others,
I've got to do what I've got to do.
You do what you do.
And you do what you do.
Thank you for
Thank you
watching
very
us. We didn't get to You Want to Race Again. Badly.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's in the blood, like you said. It's in the blood. It's in the veins. It's there. Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of what to race and where.
Do you know what would be really cool? In the South African Endurance Series by Mopar, there are many quick cars who are looking for competent, fast drivers who don't crash. Maybe we should... guys, endurance race. Here's your boy. Mathew Hodges, thank you so much for coming all the way from Boksburg. I know it's an epic drive. I'm glad you made it. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your commitment, honesty, and good luck for the future.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch.
And that, ladies and gentlemen and others, is it from episode 82 of Waved Yellow. Thank you for watching. Be lekker, be safe, and we'll... Yeah, or as the actress said to the bishop, a quick one.
And he says, I have a drive. I will give you Paul's contact details, and you take it from there.
Said Paul. Paul, I heard you.
Right, Paul, thank you very much. So, from episode 92 of Waved Yellow, be lekker, be safe. See you next week. Cheers.